Sounds good.
Okay, we're live, I believe. Kyle will let me know if we're not. Thank you all for joining us today. Exciting day. We've kind of been waiting for OpenAI to release some new API functionality, specifically like multimodal APIs that allow you to send text and image at the same time along with a prompt, which they finally released yesterday. So today what we're going to try to do is build a end-to-end application that takes advantage of these multimodal APIs, the GPT-4 Turbo, I believe they call it. And what we're going to attempt to do is have a Shopify store send a product image to ChatGPT using the new APIs and have OpenAI essentially create the product purely from the prompt we give and the image we provide it. So that's what we're going to try to build in Gadget today. My co-founder Kyle is going to take the reins and kind of work through the problem and show you exactly where the code goes and how we would write it ourselves, and explain and answer any questions you folks might have. So in the YouTube live stream, feel free to post questions as we go, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. And we'll try to explain some of the Gadget concepts as we go along as well. It's also worth reminding the audience, and most people don't know this, Gadget comes with a built-in OpenAI integration. You do not need to integrate OpenAI to communicate with OpenAI out of your Gadget backend. There is a built-in connection in the plugins page. And we also offer a limited time $50 where you can use our OpenAI credentials for up to $50 before we cut you off to kind of explore their new APIs, try them out, and see what you can build. So make sure to give it a shot after this session and try building a few things for yourself. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Kyle, and we'll maybe talk about the requirements a bit, and then we'll kind of get started from there.
Hey everyone. Okay, so Mo, what are we thinking here? Oh, actually, maybe I'll share my screen first. I think it's probably a good place to start.
That is a great place to start.
I'm gonna use this one.
You're also half on screen.
Yeah, sorry. I've got you over here on my second screen, and then I'm going to be working on this screen, so hopefully I'm looking at you all, but yeah. Okay, cool. So I guess the first thing, let's create a new app. I'm going to create a Shopify app. I don't have a great name for this. Got a name?
So let's just do like a auto descriptor. I don't know. Auto
descriptor vision.
Yeah.
Cool. So I think
app template.
Yeah, so I'm going to use the Shopify app template. Actually, maybe before I add Shopify, the first thing I'll do is I'll come in here into our plugins page. We're going to activate the Shopify one in a second. But just to get started, what we can do is I'm going to add the OpenAI connection or plugin. So here's that thing that Mo was talking about, where you can just get started using our keys. Means you don't have to go sign up for OpenAI. You don't have to put in any environment variables. It's just going to work right out of the box. Once you've used your $50, or once you're ready to go to production, you just come in here and put in your real OpenAI keys, and then Gadget will use those. But I'm going to use ours, so I don't have to do any setup. So once I've added this, what it has done is it's added the connection. One of the first things you're going to see is that we've installed the OpenAI client into our package.json. And once I start coding, I'll sort of show you how you can interact with this in a nice, easy way. Cool. All right, so let's do the connect to Shopify. Something that I feel everyone at Gadget does a couple dozen times a day. I'm going to create an app. And do the Shopify dance.
And for those of you who might not be as familiar with Gadget, the back end comes with pre-built connectors to popular APIs on the internet. You just saw two of them, OpenAI and Shopify. The Shopify connection is pretty robust. The way it works is you pick the scopes, this screen you're looking at right now, the scopes from Shopify's API that you need to power your app. So in this case, we need product data, like a product image. So we're going to go request the product scope.
Yeah,
And
so we're
then
gonna do.
there's the second question where what you're looking at now, where we ask you what tables of data you actually care to interact with, and Gadget will set them up in your application's database. So we automatically run all the migrations to set up the tables for you, and then we create an event pipeline to Shopify, and we make sure your local copy of that database table is always in sync with Shopify. So you're getting your data stream without building your own integration yourself. So there's no code involved in building the integration to Shopify or OpenAI.
Yeah. So I think, Mo, in this case, I think we're going to need product and product image. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and confirm. And now we're going to come back over to Shopify and tell it how to find Gadget as this app's backend. So we are going to go into the app setup, and we're going to point Shopify to us. And now I can install this app on one of my stores. So I'm just going to select one of my test stores. And this is now doing Shopify's OAuth. Once it's done, we can come back over here and we can see that Gadget has registered that this that we just installed, and we can go and see this is the store I just installed. Now, one thing we could do is we could hit the sync button and pull all of the data that's currently in Shopify down into our database. I don't think we're going to do that right now. We don't really need to. We're going to sort of only use new products, I think, as we're developing. But if we wanted to get sort of existing products and existing product images, we could sync that data in. Cool. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is I want to develop, and I could develop here in the editor. So I'll sort of explain how all of this works once I get into it. But all of the code that we're going to develop and that's going to run our application can be done within the Gadget editor. But if you want, we can also use something we called file sync to use a local editor, and I'm going to use VS Code. So I'm going to start the sync process. And now if I've got my app files here. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so Mo, requirements-wise, I think to start, just to get started, I should say, I guess before we jump into it, one other piece for people who don't know, this front end, which is showing our app embedded in my Shopify admin, is also served from Gadget. In this front end file here, if I wanted to start developing or showing information to my customers, I can use this front end. I think to start, we're not going to need anything for the embedded app, although at the end, I think we're going to want to share some information, some instructions to get started, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I think we should do this on both when a product is created and when a product is updated. I think I'll develop against the product being updated, but at the end we'll move it to handle both cases. Cool. So one thing I've done is this morning I want to also play with DALL-E 3 because we're going to use images as input to this model. I could go to Google Images and just find images of shoes, but I kind of wanted to play with DALL-E 3, so I whipped this up in about 15 minutes. I'm going to download this image because I kind of like it. It looks cool. Let's see, that is demo image 1. But we could also, so the way this works is I just put in a prompt here and it'll generate product imagery for me. So I think I was testing this out, like of a white t-shirt.
I think, Kyle, maybe it'd be worth explaining, like, what is this interface versus the Shopify one? Because you've confused me too as well. Is this the image or is the image coming from Shopify?
Right. So this is just sort of a ride-along tool I was going to use to generate some images for this project. Okay. It's a Gadget app. Maybe we could get into that at the end. All of this is doing is just it's going to create images for me. Actually, why don't we just use this and I can come back to this at the end if people have questions.
Sure.
Cool. So I'm just going to use this. This is going to be the product that we're selling today, these shoes. All right. So in Shopify, I'm just going to create this. I'm just going to say my shoes for now. And I am going to upload this image. So this is standard Shopify flow. I'm going to create this product. And what Gadget has done when we connected Shopify to Gadget is because we chose the Shopify product model, it registered webhooks, or it registered our app to listen to webhooks on both product create, product update, and product delete. And those webhooks are mapped to actions Gadget. So when a create webhook happens, it will trigger this code. So you can see here that Shopify webhooks, product create, and product update, if for some reason you missed the product create webhook, will trigger this action. The product update webhook will trigger this code, and product delete will trigger this code. So we just did a product create, so we should expect that this action ran, and out of the box, what this action does is it takes the parameters that are coming from Shopify and writes the data to your database. So if we go to our database now, here's the product I just created. Interestingly, it put a body in there.
What are you trying to do?
That's weird.
What are you trying to do?
Oh, like the body got filled in.
It's probably because you have the app in.
I probably have other apps. Okay, so you know what we're gonna do is we're gonna install this new app on a different store.
Yeah.
That's the way to go. Okay, so I installed that on one test store I use. I'm gonna test it on this development store I haven't used in some time. Hey, Jodit. Okay. I don't know what this is in the store. Oh, cool. No products are in this store. So I'm just going to delete that. Alrighty. So let's add a product. My shoes. Where'd my finder go? All right. Okay, so now if I come back to my Gadget database, I've triggered another webhook, that product create, and I see this data in my database. So I'm going to work against the product update action. I'm just going to keep messing with that one product I created in Shopify. And then once we've got it working, I'm going to sort of factor it out and we'll use it on both product update and product create. Cool. Before I jump in there, anything you want to say, Mo? Any sort of missing context?
No, I think it might just be worth explaining that these files have a framework they follow. So like if you look at this is the update file that Kyle was showing earlier. So it's triggered by a Shopify product update webhook, but what does it do? Line 1, it imports a bunch of special context from Gadget servers, including all the incoming parameters from the Shopify webhook. Line 6 through 9, that's like the Gadget database transaction. So by default, we take whatever hits our API and we create a record. That's how that record Kyle showed you moments ago showed up in your database table. And then there's an on success function where you can just run any additional non-database work, like making a call to OpenAI. So the default framework, the files will just take data from Shopify and copy them to a table. But what's nice about these files is you can actually edit them completely in Node.js at any level, the database transaction or what happens after the database, and really control the exact logic of your application when the webhook fires.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna sort of walk through. I'm just gonna add this incrementally. I'm not gonna go all at once, and we'll sort of watch as I add as I keep triggering webhooks in Shopify. We'll sort of see how I develop it. And so, as Mo said, like this code that's in the run happens in the database in a database transaction. Since we're going to be calling out to OpenAI, and it's going to probably take 5 to 10 to 15 seconds. It's not something we want to do holding open a database transaction. So we're going to run it in this on success, which means that we've already written our data to the database. And here we can keep updating data in the database, but we're not going to be holding on to a database transaction. So with things like OpenAI, because these API requests can take quite a while as the LLM goes through and does its thing, on success is typically where you want to run this type of code. Cool. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is let's just like log I'm just going to call record product because I know it's a product here. And I'm just going to use my logger to log that payload. And so as I edit and save in VS Code, these changes are going to be pushed up to Gadget, and this is going to change my API. It's going to change my app, so I can just run a webhook now, and this code is going to run. So I think what I am going to do, what I like to do is just like add a tag, remove a tag, and that triggers an update webhook. So do that. And I jump over to my logs here in Gadget. I can see this product update webhook came in. I'm updating it in the database. And then here's the log that I just put into the code in my own success effect. And here is the record I just saved to my database. And you can see the tags. I just added that test tag. It's here. Okay, cool. Okay, so next step is get the image. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use one image. I believe that you can pass multiple images to GPT-4 with vision. I think for this use case, we'll just do one. So when I set up my Shopify connection, I chose product, and I also chose product image. And Shopify takes care of like denormalizing the data, or sorry, Gadget takes care of denormalizing the data that comes in from Shopify and writing it to the right table. So I created, well, actually, so one of these is from, this is from that store I aborted on. So we'll just use this one. This is the product image that I just added over here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically say every time my onSuccess is going to run, I'm going to look for the product images associated to the product. I'm going to pick the one that's at position 1. So we're just going to use whatever product or whatever image is at position 1 as the image for the AI. In the future, we could definitely use multiple. I think for now, though, one image is fine. Cool. So I'm going to do constant equal. And position, yeah, I think that's right. All right, so this call here is using my Gadget API to look at the product image model and maybe find one where the I think Copilot might have gave me some wrong syntax there. Yeah, so where the product is equal to the product ID that I'm running my code for, and where position is 1. And I'm just going to log now my product and my image, and just make sure that I've got what I expect here. So let's go back here. We're going to remove. Oh, I think maybe I do product ID. I didn't save. I'm so used to using the Gadget editor that I just auto-save now. Right. Actually, like the more I do in Gadget in a given day, the equals. Oh, dope. Sorry, I was using maybe find one. I want to find first. So find one is when I know the ID. Find first is use this query and then limit one to find the first record that matches that query. That was the mistake. All right. There we go. Okay, cool. So here's my log. Here's my image. And the thing that I need to pass to OpenAI is this right here. So the new model, I don't know how many of you have used any OpenAI's API before. So before it used to be like a message where it'd be like role user and content would just be text. You can now pass a special message to it called, I'm gonna have to look up the API once we get there, but basically you pass it an image URL. Their side, they're gonna download the image, do some processing, and then pass it as an input to the LLM along with your prompt, and you'll get your output after that. So this is the thing that we really need, is this image source. All right, so we have that. So it's possible that a product doesn't have an image. So this image here, you can see it's either a gadget record product image or it's null. If it's null, we've got nothing to do. So we're just going to return and log that. So if not, all right. Okay, so now I think we're going to construct the prompt to OpenAI. So okay, so let's start calling OpenAI. Now, when I added that OpenAI plugin or connection, everything I need to access that integration is in context in my code in this connections object. So I am going to do connections.openai. And this connections OpenAI object is now basically the client that was, or it's an instance of the client that was created from this OpenAI package, which is the node library that OpenAI supports. But it has been configured to work with the credentials that you passed in on the connection screen. So in this case, it's working with the Gadget managed credentials. So I've had to do 0 setup, and I can just start calling OpenAI with this. So we are going to do it's actually OpenAI chat completions create. We are going to do, let's see if I can think of what it is. OpenAI hasn't updated their types. Oh no, they have. Nice. Vision 4 preview. That's the one that we want. That was not there yesterday, so that's cool. They're going fast. So the way that OpenAI's API works is you pass it a series of messages that sort of like simulate a conversation with the AI. So you have to give it a role. So we're going to call that system. And content. My system prompt will go here. I'll talk about this in a second. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's just say, let's use OpenAI's demo. What is in this image? And now we are going to pass our message, which is role user content. And so for these special image ones, I could pass text if it's just text, but for image, I have to pass a special type. Let's see, I'm doing this off memory from yesterday. And I think it's image URL like this. So I think that's it. I can also just go and look at my types here, which is one nice thing about it is I've got all my node modules, so I can go and look at the libraries that I've installed. Type image URL. Oh, actually, you are an AI. I think what we should do is pass we'll pass the question, what's in this image here? What is in this image? All right, so
Would you mind going full screen on your text editor? It's just a little with everything else.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks.
Here, let me zoom in a little bit. How's that?
Much better. If you could go further, that'd be even better.
I can.
There we go. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So okay, so back to Shopify. I'm going to update my product. Trigger a webhook. I've got something wrong. Messages, not message. Okay. All right, here's our OpenAI response. So I said, what's in this image? And the AI assistant, it always responds with the role assistant. Said, image shows sneakers. They have a color scheme that, oh, this is something that's interesting. I find that I didn't have to used to do this, but we have So you see here, it hit total tokens 802, and it stopped generating, right? So like they have a color scheme that, and stopped. The reason it stopped, it tells you, is because we hit max tokens. So I actually haven't looked into why this is, but I've found that with GPT-4 Vision, the max tokens limit is really small. So what we have to do here is we just have to say max token by the amount of tokens you use, both on the way in and on the way out. So you can use this max tokens to basically say, like, I want to spend on any given call no more than this many tokens. 2,500 should be more than enough for what our use case is. But if you see my prompt, all I said was like, you are an AI and what is in this image? That's definitely not 786 tokens. You can think of a token as roughly a word or part of a word. It's basically how the AI sees language. But this is no more than, say, 15 tokens. You're an AI, what is in this image? What OpenAI actually does behind the scenes is they take the image, you pass it in this image URL, and they have this like mechanism for mapping the pixels that come in from the image to input tokens. And the calculation is super weird. You can also pass a thing that says like low quality true, in which case it'll only use 85 tokens for any image you pass it. I haven't still fully wrapped my head around how they're doing it, or why they're doing it the way they're doing it, but it's kind of neat. At any rate, that's why you can see the actual total tokens I used was 802. I think I'm sending them a pretty decently sized image. And so that prompt with that image ended up costing about 786 tokens. Cool. Okay, so I've set the max tokens to 2,500 now, so I think it's going to generate to the end of what it sees. It shouldn't take that much. So let's trigger this again. Whoops. Just checking the YouTube stream to see any questions. All right, so here's OpenAI's new response. This image shows a pair of high-top sneakers. The sneakers are primarily white with red accents and have a classic design with laces going up the front, blah, blah, blah. That seems accurate. All right. So when I was saying the system prompt, this thing is sort of like, this is where the black magic of prompt engineering comes in. This is where we give the AI instructions. So I'm not going to spend too much time thinking about this, but let's say you are an AI assistant helping an e-commerce store merchandise their products. Your task is to take an image of a product as well as an optional instruction. I say an optional prompt, and return a description of that product to be used on the stores. Did I say shop or store? Store. Website. Cool. And like as we're generating these descriptions. If for some reason they're not matching what we expect, this is sort of where we can come in and give it different instructions and say, hey, don't do that thing that you just did, and then hope for the best. And I think what I'm going to do then is I'm also going to pass in a thing here saying additional instructions, and this is going to be whatever's in the product body. All right. So let's try this out.
Does that mean you're trying to use the product body to like enrich the prompt?
Yeah, so I think what we could do is, so like, let's say, I'll say the first thing is like, write a short description. No more than 2 or 3 sentences. So I think, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, if you hit save, that's an update. You don't need to change tags.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, cool. So let's see. All right, here's our OpenAI response. So it says, step up your style with these high-top sneakers featuring a bold red and white. All right.
What does it look like in the store?
Okay, so we got to write it back.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I'm just logging it right now. So this is, oh, okay, yeah. So the other thing we have to do, yes, okay, so we get to make use of our other connection now, another object in the connection, which is the Shopify one. When this webhook comes in, we know the store that webhook has come in for. And so on our connections object, we have a handy dandy object called, what did I do? I don't want that. Connections.shopify.current. And so this is going to give us a client that is going to let us write, or if we wanted to, read from the Shopify store that sent this webhook. It's possible that I don't have a Shopify store in context. In this case, since we know it's triggered by webhooks, I know I have one. But if you look at the type, it could be undefined. So I'm also going to check if not Shopify. I'm just going to no Shopify connection found. And I need to return there. And I need to return there. All right. Would you register the product already had the text generated, so it didn't? Donna, you just saved me from what I was probably about to create, what we call a webhook echo. So Donna in the chat said, would you register that the product has already had the text generated, so it didn't accidentally run it again the next time it's saved and replace the text?
Great idea.
Yes, because what can happen if I just naively, I won't save it, if I naively did what I was about to do, which is Shopify dot, we are updating a product. We're going to update it. Parse.int product.id. And we are updating, I always forget this, body HTML, I think. Yeah. Thank you, Copilot. I guess one other thing is, let's just pull the text.
I think, Donna, to your question, like probably, if you wanted to build this application for real, there would be an interface for approving the responses from OpenAI. And once it's approved, maybe that's when you want to stop updating based on updates. So I think that's probably the right way to do it, not the way Kyle's doing it, where he's kind of using the description field of the product as like the prompt input, but there's no other UI. We're just kind of doing this fast for demo purposes. But you would probably want to build like an approval user interface and then record that the prompt response was approved. And once it was approved, you will never run this logic again on updates. That's probably what you want to do. A lazy way as well, that maybe if Kyle has time, he can show us real quick, is you can add a field to a Shopify model, a custom field of your own. Let's say like, has OpenAI generated a useful prompt as a Boolean, true, false. You set it to false by default, and then you flip it to true once OpenAI generates a response that you deem satisfactory. And anytime you get another webhook on that record, because you see that you've already gone through the process, you just ignore it. So that's a lazier implementation that we can probably even do on this call, where we just add a field to the model and use a Boolean to track whether or not we've already sent the prompt to OpenAI.
Yeah. The other thing also is like I'm going to use tags, I think, because I have to. There's something I have to do, but I think probably if you're doing this for real, we'd want to use meta fields. What I was talking about is if I just made this call where I'm going to update the HTML, that's going to trigger, or that's going to update. That's going to update the record in Shopify, which is going to trigger a update action, which Gadget is going to respond to, and it's just going to keep looping and looping and updating each other forever. Gadget actually has some built-in protections to make sure that that can't go on for too long. But it's always good hygiene to make sure that we're only ever updating from these actions if there's a need to update. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to look. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the image source that I used to generate the description, and if that is I'm going to sort of keep track of that in a tag. And if that hasn't changed since the last time, then I'm just going to not write this update. I'm also not going to make this call to OpenAI and cost me any money. So yeah, let's do that with tags, I think. Let's do that here. Current tags is equal to product tags. Oh, okay, actually, I'm gonna use Lodash, I think. So because Gadget apps are really just Node behind the scenes, I can add any package I want to use. I'm going to use Lodash for this tag manipulation. So I've just added it to my package, and then I'm just running yarn install to add it in. And I think if I so I'm going to import partition from Lodash, and I'm going to let's put it up here. Const tag prefix equal to, I can't even remember what we named our app. Oh, auto descriptor. Okay. app tags and other tags. Okay, before I write, I'm just going to make sure that my tags logic here works. And then, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say includes, I think, requires date is equal to oh, right. I need so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a hash of the image source, and I'm going to use that in my tag. So import. And okay, so basically what I'm looking is I'm looking in the current tags on the product, and if any of them match this tag that I'm defining, where I'm just sort of using this like auto descriptor vision and then a hash of the image source, then I'm going to exit, basically say if not requires update, no update required. And if it does, then I know I need to come in here and update my product. Screw it. Let's just try. And then I just need to write back. Wow. Write back my tags. So I've created this tag based on the current image hash. And now when I update my product, I'm going to make sure I put it on there. And then this is going to be the thing that's going to break that break that loop.
I think it's an interesting way to break that loop. It also breaks the loop of listening to your own webhook echo, but you could have done that with a record.changed as well.
I could have, but I think like if the product description changes, but like the image, like we basically like the product, or sorry, the body could change. I don't think we necessarily want to go and generate a description every time. It's like sort of this tag is going to be sort of the mechanism that Don was talking about. It's like once this is here, it's here and it's not going to change unless I go in, or it's not going to update from my app unless I come in and remove that tag.
Yeah. I think the danger there, though, is that if someone removes the tag,
yes,
on an update, they will. No, actually, you need record.changed, Kyle. You will still end up on a infinite loop if they remove that tag and try to update again.
I don't think so, because if they remove the tag and update, it's going to write this is always going to write a tag back.
Always write the tag? Okay,
yeah.
So it's not like I'm satisfied with this answer. It's just this is the answer and we're not doing it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I think that like what you said before is like if we're building this for real, I think we would want to build some sort of state gadget side and like control that through the embedded app. Maybe one of the people who is watching this live stream can take the idea and build this for real and get in the App Store. I think a ton of people probably have this exact same idea, so use Gadget to go fast and beat them to market. Okay, cool. So I think this is going to work, but let's see. I am going to remove this tag. Check our. Saying no update required.
Did you remove the tag? Or?
It was never there. So I have made a mistake somewhere. Let's see. Everyone in the stream is yelling. I've missed something somewhere. Okay, let's just take a look at product image, image hash, new tag, app tags, other tags.
Riley's right. This is actually an incredibly good use case for a admin extension UI, and we were actually looking for one. So maybe Riley, we can take this as a good example for a future webinar for admin extensions.
I'll just add tag. Oh, Logic. I want to need an update if it doesn't include that tag. Okay.
There you go.
There we go.
Because you got a no update again.
I think that was it coming back through.
Oh
yeah. See, there's my app tag.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, that's your own echo. Description.
Did I mess this up? Is it body HTML? Oh, product description. Oh. Okay, so Copilot gives and it takes away. Copilot sometimes tells you something that doesn't exist. All right, so now I think what I can do is I can just remove this tag here. That's my app tag, and then there's my OpenAI response, and then there's the echo saying no webhook required. Cool.
There we go.
All right. So now we can do some fun stuff. We can say things like, write this super hyped up for Twitter.
Neat.
I like it.
Yeah.
I
think that's it.
That's basically it.
I'm trying to
it took
come
an
up
hour,
with and but yeah, I think that's an hour on the dot. And
oh, okay. So actually, one thing I don't think, one thing I think I would do next. Parameter you can pass called response format JSON, and you have a guarantee. You have to guarantee when you do this that it will respond with valid JSON, which is super cool because I think what I would want to do is like instead of just doing a description, I could say respond as JSON and respond with a title and a body. And then I could use that to update both the title and the body. So that's definitely one option. And then I think to do it for real, some of the things that we're talking about, which is keeping state, working with it in the embedded UI, or doing it as an admin extension, I think would be.
Yeah, this is actually a good use case for admin extension because you kind of want like a small bit of UI almost just dangling off of the product page.
Right. Yeah, basically, instead of using the product description, use your own UI. Yeah.
We might just like pick this up for another webinar and actually build it out with an admin extension for everybody. I think that's it for today, though. We kind of covered it. We use the Gadget Shopify connection and the OpenAI connection, which gives you $50 of free credits on our credentials, which you, as Kyle mentioned, do have to change for your own credentials when you go to production. You have access to all the latest OpenAI APIs. Works very much the same way as Shopify, though keep in mind OpenAI does not send webhooks, so everything is a read or write API call powered by the underlying library that we install for you. We're going to try to do more content around our OpenAI connection as well now that they've launched their multimodal API. So if you folks have requests or feedback or completely unrelated to Shopify applications that you want to see built using OpenAI, please send those to us and we'll make sure to add them to our docket. Donna asked for some of this code to be shared in our Discord community. We'll make sure to share it and we'll try to ping you as well, Donna, so you can see it there. Thank you all for joining us, and I am going to sign off here with Kyle, and we'll see you folks in our Discord. Thanks, Kyle.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.